What's good, everybody? It's Raphael, and I hate people. Ladies and gentlemen, we read the whole book of Genesis. I'm gonna do a quick recap on the last episode that we did, and then what I want to do is I want to talk about everything that happened in the book of Genesis. The stuff, most importantly, the stuff that I disagree with, and I'll explain that when I get to it. But first off, let's recap chapters 48 through 50. So in chapter 48, what happened before that? Don't bury me in Egypt with my father. Bury me in. Okay, so something happened before that. Jacob was telling. Let's see. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years. The time drew near for Israel to die. He called for Joseph and said to him, "Don't bury me in Egypt. Bury me." Okay, so basically, Jacob had made Joseph promise to bury him with his people. And then in chapter 48, it says, sometime later, let me pick this up. Sometime later, Joseph was told, "Your father is ill." So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, along with him. When Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph has come," Israel, again, they be switching the name up, Israel rallied his strength and sat up on the bed. Then Israel said, "Bring your children close so he can bless them." And he did. And Israel said, "I never expected to see your face again, and now God has allowed me to see your children too." So, yeah, he just want to do one last thing before he leaves. And then he blessed Joseph, and then he blessed his children, Ephraim and Manasseh. Then then Jacob called for the rest of his sons. They all came in, and he blessed each and every last one of them. Come on now, stop playing. In their own way, he blessed them all in their own way. And what is this? Chapter 49. Okay, in chapter 49, verse 28. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, giving each the blessing appropriate to him. He blessed 12 of his firstborns, I guess. And, like I said, they all had the blessing that was appropriate for them. Each one had their own blessing. Okay, so 29. Then he gave them these instructions: "Bury me with my fathers in the cave in the field of Ephron the Hittite. There Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried. And there I buried Leah." So he wants to go with his family. When he dies, that's where he wants to be buried. When Jacob had finished giving instructions, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last breath and died. And chapter 50, Jacob's sons, as he had commanded them. Wait a minute. I think I skipped something. I highlighted some stuff. Y'all know how I do. I get the highlighter. Let's read that. That's in chapter 50, verse 12. So Jacob's son did as he commanded them. They carried him to the land. Okay. The Jacob and Israel thing is confusing me again. I'm thinking about Joseph. But yeah, Jacob's sons did it. He commanded them. After burying his father, Joseph returned to Egypt together with his brothers. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they got worried. And they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us?" So they're a little paranoid. Understandable, you fucked him over, So they sent a word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died." Verse 17. "This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly." So I don't know if that's like saying that it's true or not. All it says is, so they sent word to Joseph saying, your father left these instructions before he died. So their father probably did, probably didn't. They probably made it up. I don't know. But in verse 19, Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. And then he said, I will provide for you and your children. And Joseph stayed in Egypt along with his father's family. He lived 110 years old. He lived to be 110 years old. And he saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. The third generation. 110. I can see that. I can see that. And Joseph said to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. I'm only assuming that means take me, to our land and bury me with our fathers. But I'm only assuming. I don't know exactly if that's what they're saying or not, so don't quote me on that, but that's what it sounds like to me. And then you must carry my bones up from this place. That's what I get out of it. So, last verse in the book of Genesis, in chapter 50. So Joseph died at the age of 110, and after they embalmed him, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt. So remember, it said, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. So if that means that he wants to be buried with his fathers, then they didn't do what he asked them to do. But at the same time, I don't know if that's what it meant. But to me, that's what it meant. So they didn't do what he asked them to do. And that may come down on them if that is in the book of Exodus. I don't know yet. So that was the end of the book of Genesis. So what I want to do now is I want to go back and talk about a few things that we already read. Like a recap, if you will. A let's see. God said, let there be light, blah, blah, blah. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Whatever. Let there be lights in the vault in the sky. Okay, so God said, let there be light already in the beginning. We talked about this before. Let there be light in the beginning. That was the first thing he said. Yeah, that was the first thing he said, let there be light. But then he turned around and said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. So, again, we talked about this before. The issue I have with that is he already said, let there be light. That was the first thing he said. But then he said, let there be light again. I'm wondering, is that supposed to mean something else? Was the first light that he said not the sun? Or is this light after he said, let there be light, not the sun? Either way, it's confusing. I'm not bashing. I just want people to think. I don't want you to read it and just say, oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, I don't understand it, but I'm going to go with it. How are you going to go with it if you don't understand? But yeah, he said, the two great lights. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. Of course, that means the sun and the moon. I'm not really gonna get on the whole moon thing. We know that, well, according to science, because I'm not gonna sit here and say that's what it is, but according to science, the moon's light comes from the sun. Reflection of the sun to earth. I'm gonna leave that where it's at though. Let us make mankind in our image. Us. I'm only assuming that that's the whole Holy Trinity thing. The Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But it don't say nothing like that here, so I'm not going to say that's what it is. On the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. So we all know that the seventh day is Saturday, but the majority of Christians worship, on Sunday. So basically everybody's fucking wrong. I mean, from the jump, you were wrong by worshiping on Sunday. You should be worshiping on Saturday. Saturday is the seventh day. I mean, I'm gonna let that be. Adam and Eve, though. Let's see. Then the Lord formed man. Okay. That's cool. And the Lord commanded the man, you're free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So there's the two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. All right, so first off, I know a lot of people think I don't believe in God. It's not that I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this motherfucker that y'all believe inspired a man to write about. No, I don't believe in this nigga. Why would you create something that we aren't supposed to go after? Like, you created something that we can eat. Tree of life. We're supposed to live forever off of that tree. But knowing we are gonna be fruitful and we're gonna spread. There's not gonna be enough fruit on that one tree of life anyway for everybody. Eventually, there's gonna be way too many people. Okay? So it didn't say this in the book, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. This was the first mistake that your so-called God has made. Because, I mean, because people think that God don't make no mistakes. And we gonna get to that too. But yeah, this is the first mistake. Tree of life, tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You don't want people to take from that. Now, what was the fruit on that tree? We have no idea. It wasn't the apple, people. It wasn't. Okay? Stop thinking it's apple. It's not the apple. We don't know what this fruit is. It was left wherever the Garden of Eden was. Yeah, it was left wherever the Garden of Eden was. We still eating apples. We still eating apples. Stop thinking it's the apple. It's not the apple. Let's see, what else we got? Knowledge of good and evil. Let's just keep going. Okay. He brought them to... Oh, what? He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. Oh, okay, so God brought the wild animals and all the birds in the sky to the man, see what he would name them. So basically everything before that, God named. We didn't name none of that stuff. We didn't name the water. We didn't name the plants. We didn't name the sky, the sun. We didn't name none of that stuff. We named the animals. Okay, so what else we got? While sleeping, he took... Okay, so he made the woman, and, whatever. He took a chunk of rib, made the woman. Of course, I don't believe that. Man, you made the man make the woman the same way you made the fucking man. It's not... That's all I got to say about that. So, I mean, it's cool. All of this is cool. I like the stories. Imagination. I like it. But really, let's be real. You made the woman from the rib of the man? No. Hell no. As a matter of fact, I don't think the man came first. I think the woman did. Well, you know what? It really don't even matter, because without the man, a woman can't give birth, and without the woman, a man can't, have sex so the woman can give birth. So, I mean, maybe they came together. Anyway, Adam and his wife were both naked and they felt no shame. This is natural for anybody. Nobody feels shame for something that hasn't been addressed. I was like 8 years old, getting ready for school one morning. Well, I thought it was morning. It was the middle of the night. And it was at my grandmama's house. My uncle had his friend over there. And I got up thinking it was time to get ready for school. I got completely naked. Everything off. In front of them. I didn't feel no shame. Why? because nobody talked about how somebody would get completely naked in front of somebody and laugh. Nobody pointed and laughed at me. Nobody said anything that would make me feel ashamed until I got naked in front of them. That's when it all happened. So I said, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't get naked in front of people. Never did it again. Never. 8 years old. So they felt no shame as grown men and women. They felt no shame as the first grown men and women who were already fucking naked. There were no clothes invented, people. No clothes were invented back then. So why would they feel shame after eating a fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Okay, but let's carry on. They hear from the Lord among the trees of the garden. I mean, it ain't like they know that God knows all. They were the first humans on planet, so I ain't gonna really blame them for that. But the whole feeling ashamed is what gets me. Y'all can't believe that. Come on now. Have you ever felt ashamed of something that you never heard of somebody talking about? If that's the case, this should have carried on throughout the human race. We should, as babies coming out the womb, we should have been ashamed because it trickled down through all the bloodlines. Everybody should be ashamed. Babies should be ashamed. If not, 3-year-olds should be ashamed. And if not, I should have been ashamed at the age of 8. It's all, no. I'm gonna leave that be though. Adam named his wife Eve. The Lord made garments. God made clothes for these niggas. No. Because this is basically saying that God invented clothing. Are we gonna think or not? I mean, come on. God invented clothing. All right, he must not be allowed to reach out his hands. Okay, so the tree of life, right? We're not supposed to eat from the tree of life. Flaming sword is supposed to be back and forth because he banished them from the Garden of Eden. And I mean, which I'm gonna hopefully remember to come back to that because of the flood, right? Noah's Ark, the flood washed all of that away. So I would say that the flaming sword is no more. But yeah, let's get to Cain and Abel. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd or whatever, right? Abel brought God his dang, I didn't highlight that. Either way, I know the story. Abel brought God fat portions or whatever of newborn, or the firstborn of his flock. Some of the firstborn of his flock. And Cain brought, what was it? Some of the fruits of the soil as an offering. So Cain brought product of his work. Abel brought, I guess, product of his work. But God was only pleased with Abel's, not Cain's. Think about it. It's the same. My work, his work, it's all the same. We brought you offering. This is what we have. Take or not. But at the same time, it's God. What the fuck is he gonna do with it? We have to think, people. We have to. If not, well, y'all are already puppets. I mean, just to be real. And when I say y'all, I mean the people who aren't thinking. I'm not talking about everybody. But at the same time, this is why I hate people, because this is the majority of people. The majority of people are puppets. They believe everything. They let the media control them. Think about it. Democrats, Republicans, you all are fighting each other over something and you don't even really know why. You're just doing it because your leaders are doing it or manipulating you to do it. They just sitting back, relaxing, taking in the bread. But yeah, I just want you to think. Okay, so Cain was hating. Understandable. We both gave the same thing. God only picked one. But he killed his brother. That's not understandable. Then God basically cursed Cain and sent him on his way. Nobody's supposed to kill him. Nobody's supposed to kill this nigga. Then he ended up with a wife. Of course, I'm thinking that they just skipped that part in the Bible, the creation of other human beings throughout the planet. I'm thinking that that's what happened. They just skipped that because Cain ended up with a wife, made love to his wife, had kids. Now, with that being said, I'm not gonna be mad at it. Me being an understanding, open-minded person, understand that that has to be what it was. But one of his sons, Lamech. Anyway, he was the first one to have two wives. He said he came home and he was like, I killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. That's still confusing to me to this day. But he said, if Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. I'm still trying to figure out, was Cain killed then? Or is he just simply saying that because Cain has that, then whoever attacks me should get twice as much, or in his case, 77 times as much? I don't know for sure. But anyway, let's see. Adam made love to his wife again. They gave birth to Seth. Seth also had a son named Enosh. Now, I ain't really worried about that. But we're getting to the whole Noah's Ark thing, right? And I just thought, I see why we don't see Cain no more. If Cain wasn't killed when he was talking about, whoever attacks me should get 77 times the punishment. If he wasn't killed then he definitely was killed in the flood. That joker wasn't swimming for 40 days and 40 nights. So I guess that's what happened to Cain. I used to say it all the time. Where's Cain? But I see why we don't see Cain. So I take back what I used to say about Cain. But here we go. My favorite of the whole Bible so far. My favorite verse. Verse 5 in chapter 5. No. In chapter 6. I'm sorry. In chapter 6 of Genesis. Verse 5. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. Verse 6, the Lord regretted that he had made the human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created. But he found favor in Noah. Out of all people, Noah was the only good one. Really. We're going to let that be though. All I'm saying is the point in reading this is how people always talk about God makes no mistakes, right? God makes no mistakes. Remember, I said the first mistake that God made was what? The first mistake God made was either making humans in the first place or making that tree, the tree of knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's hard to say all of that at one time. But here, he admits it. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth. He saw it. Where is it? The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth. Regretted. Is that not a mistake? If you make no mistakes, you have no regrets. First of all, if you make no mistakes, you have no regrets. Who regrets something knowing they didn't make a mistake about it? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, he favored Noah though, out of all the people. Love Noah. Had Noah make an ark and flooded the earth. Oh, what we got here? The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. So it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, but the earth stayed flooded for 150 days because, it takes time for the water to, evaporate and for the land to dry. So, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, all it was a hurricane in a small region of the planet. The Bible only talks about the Middle East. Right there. Africa and the little bottom portion of Asia. Right there. Sorry, my bad. Somebody was calling. So, that was that, right? Then he said, he'll never again destroy life by flood, basically. Never destroy life by flood. But let me read that the way it's actually written. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. Okay, so specifically, never again will all life be destroyed by waters of a flood, and never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. So I used to talk about how that was a lie, because we still have fucking floods. We have flash floods, we have hurricanes, tsunamis, etc. You name it, we have it. And he said, I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Basically saying the rainbow is a sign saying, don't worry, I won't flood the earth again. But we still have all of these things, and we still have fucking rainbows. Now, after reading over this again, specifically, he's never flooded the entire earth, just portions of the earth, still killing people, and we still got fucking rainbows, right? So, is this a kid with powers? Like a child will say, well, I didn't flood the whole earth. I only did this much in certain places, and I do it a lot. A lot. People die. Still got rainbows. Leaving that alone. Never again will waters become a flood to destroy all life. Okay, so we're leaving that. I could go all day. What do we have here? From maritime people spread out into... From these maritime peoples spread out into their territories by their clans within their nations, each with its own language. So after the flood, the drying of the land and stuff like that, all of Noah's people went out and did their thing, became fruitful again, and of course family was sleeping with family. How else are we gonna make population? It's on the way. And by the way, I'm only assuming nobody was mentally damaged. I'm only assuming. What else we got? The Canaanites. No, that can't be. Are the Canaanites from Cain? Somebody help me out with that one. Are the Canaanites from Cain? Because if that's so, then somehow they survived the flood. Cain and his people, I don't feel like going through all that, but yeah, it was a bunch of stuff, right? Like, people, they dispersed, they had their families, they became fruitful, expanded. Now the whole world, this is chapter 11. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. But they said to each other, come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone, and tar and mortar. Then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens. Okay, the Lord came down. Lord said, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. And when he did that, they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel. And what I get from it, Babel, that's what I get from it. But why? People have I've heard people say this and that, the God stopped him because he don't want him to get to heaven and live with him. When really, let's be real. If this is true, and they really were trying to build a tower that would reach the heaven, only thing that would have happened is these niggas would have stopped being able to breathe. Because once you get to a certain elevation, the oxygen level is cut. So they wouldn't have been able to breathe anyway. There's no fucking heaven up there. There's nothing but space. Space, y'all. You can't believe everything that's written in here, right? That's all I'm saying. Space. If this is true, they would have ended up not being able to breathe. They would have came back down anyway. I can't breathe. I'm finna go back where there's oxygen. I'm not finna stay up here and suffocate unless they just that stupid and they stay up there and fucking suffocate. But I'm gonna let that one go too. Okay, so then there came Abram. Abram was eventually renamed Abraham, and the story of him. It started with, did it start with him? Let's see right quick. Yeah, started with him. Abram was renamed Abraham, and God would come to him and say basically what he said to every descendant after that. Let me see. I'm not finding it. Either way, God was saying, if you follow my orders, I'll do this for you. You'll be fruitful. Your descendants will be rulers of the planet. You'll be kings of many nations. You'll be this. You will be that. You won't be able to count how many offspring, how many in your offspring that you have. Blah blah blah. Right? Said that to literally every descendant. Well, not every descendant, but it was always a chosen one from each descendant. Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, then Joseph. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. And they all did the same thing too with the whole wife thing with Egypt. They end up seeing somebody in Egypt, and I should hide from Abraham what I'm about to do. Oh, let's pause that one right quick. Let's go into other ways that the Lord has decided to kill people. The Lord has, let's just go here. Sodom and Gomorrah, those are cities, is so great and their sin so grievous that I will go down and see what they have. Okay, it's not then. Approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous and with the wicked? Abraham was playing with God. He was questioning them. He didn't get punished for it. There was some crazy stuff going on. Man. But yeah. Basically here, God was finna get ready to destroy this city. Abraham was like, if it's 50 good people, you still gonna destroy it? And God was like, if it's 50, no. Then Abraham was like, 45? God was like, no. 40? No. 35? No. He talked him all the way down to 10, still said no. Whatever. He lied. He did it anyway. Soon as they had brought his people out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back. Don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. Do not look back." Lot's wife, she looked back, turned to a pillar of salt. You believe that if you want. God has destroyed man in so many different ways, is all I'm trying to say. For us to call him good, we will have to look at the bad. If we are to, God created the devil, but we ain't even on that subject right now. We are in Genesis and Genesis only. We don't even know if that serpent that Eve was talking to was the devil. It didn't say so. Yeah. What was that? Abraham still? Oh, Lot and his daughters. Lot's daughters slept with him. They got him drunk, made him sleep with him. But this was already going on after Noah's Ark. How else were they gonna be fruitful if they didn't sleep with each other? And so it was no big deal to me. But God came to Abimelech one night in a dream and said to him, okay, so this is about the whole Abraham lying about his wife being his wife and saying that she was his sister. And this went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to, did Joseph? No, Joseph didn't, because he was already in Egypt. But they all did the same thing. And God had to bail them out every time. Oh, when God tested Abraham, this is one that I hated too. God told Abraham to take your son and go to the region of Moriah, sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Why do you feel the need to test this man? You are God, nigga. You know what's gonna happen according to the people. Because I haven't read that God knows all and sees all. I haven't read that. But according to the people, God makes no mistakes. God knows all, sees all. Why the fuck is he feeling the need to test Abraham? Abraham said, okay, I'll do it. Took his son, about to stab this nigga. About to kill him right there. God said, no, don't do it. I was just playing. I was just trying to see if you were really going to do it. Because I want to see if there's anything that will stop you from listening to me. And the only thing I could think of was you killing your son. If you would put your son's life before me, then I feel like I have a problem. If you put your son's life before me, I feel like I have a problem. You can't be trusted. If you won't kill your own son for me, I can't trust you. That's pretty much what God was doing. Stupid, but whatever. Same thing. All that other shit that don't matter. Prepare the house for our camels. Stuff that don't matter. Abraham died. Stuff that don't matter. All the rest of these are good stories, though. All the rest of these are good stories. Man, look, the Bible is basically, as far as Genesis is concerned, it's a book of comics without pictures. Comic books without pictures. That's all it is. Yeah, that's all it is. The rest is nothing to really question. It's just stories about Abraham's descendants. And that's it. Or should I say Adam and Eve's descendants, because of course they're all supposed to be from Noah. Noah and his family were the only survivors on the planet. And yeah, so all of these are basically ancestors. We are all ancestors of Adam and Eve. But the rest, that's pretty much all that I have to talk about, really. It's the rest is just stories. Great stories. So if you haven't followed me up until this point, and you want to hear the stories about Jacob and Isaac and blah blah blah, go ahead, check it out. I'm trying to go through it and see if there's anything else. God showed favor to the descendants of Abraham. Certain descendants of Abraham, because it was Abraham and it was Isaac and it was Jacob. So he only picked one. He didn't bless all of, the people. And he destroyed certain groups of people, but they all came from Noah. Think about it. So with that being said, bad is inevitable, but good is too. Good is inevitable too. There will always be the good and the bad, the yin and the yang. I'm still flipping through to see if there's anything else that I want to address besides just the good stories, and there's not really any. All those names. Whew. Nope. Not going there. Joseph was my favorite character in the book of Genesis. Joseph was a stand-up cat. He stuck to his code. He loved his people even though they basically fucked him over. And I respect that man for that. I mean, he stuck to his code. But yeah, God showing favor. God makes mistakes. If we are to go along with the Bible, this God, one, he makes mistakes. Two, he doesn't know all. And three, he's an asshole. Why would you test a man that's already following you? Give him the ultimate test and ask him to kill his own son. His own son. What the fuck? What else do we have? Yeah, that's it. All the rest is just good stories. Joseph, that's my boy. That would be it for the Bible. For the book of Genesis. I'm gonna keep going through the Bible. Next is Exodus. But what I want to do is get to what I've started this whole channel for, and that's basic human faults, I guess. I can't tell you right now which topic I'm gonna start with, but we have a lot. We have a lot that we have problems with. And one that's touchy for me is raising kids. And that might be the one I start off with, but I'm not gonna guarantee it. Parents need to, parents need to first want to raise their kids properly. Without proper guidance, as a child, it's no way we have foundations set in our mind to do what's right as an adult. And that's the whole point of the channel, how to human properly. But yeah, anything that I left out, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Anything that I left out, please feel free, comment and tell me your side. Educate me on what the Bible is actually saying. If you disagree and want to start an argument, comment, go ahead. I'm most likely not gonna pay attention to it, but go ahead, do your thing. But yeah, that was the book of Genesis, everybody. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. You already know how I go, baby. Might as well. We might as well. But that's it. Until next time, I'll see you. Peace.